Two very sad stories in the news recently. Chris Eubank lost his son, Sebastian, at the young age of 29. He passed away from a heart attack. And Sinead O'Connor lost her 17-year-old son, Shane, to suicide. Both Chris Eubank and Sinead O'Connor are converts to Islam. And I'm just wondering how their faith, how their spirituality helped them through at that time. And Chris Eubank is not someone who advertises his religion much. He doesn't proselytize his Islam.
I think that the Quran and Islam give human beings a code on how to live.
He converted to Islam as a young man, and I remember watching clips of him talking about his faith in a very modest and humble way, and admitting that he's not the perfect Muslim. And he was saying things like, I don't always manage to pray 5 times a day, but it's in my heart.
The praying 5 times a day is a real problem for me, and I don't. I mean, the times I go to the Middle East, I do, because it's like the schedule that everybody else is on, but I have a different schedule here in the United Kingdom. And so particular days will go past, maybe weeks will go past, and I won't. And I'll do it the way I used to do it, which is just in mind.
He came to Islam after he'd had children, so it wasn't a faith that they were brought up in.
My children are too young. I suppose you can teach children from this age, but I was brought up in a Christian household, and I'd rather teach my children how to be balanced. As far as directing them into a religion, I will teach them by example.
Sebastian Eubank, when he passed away, was living in Dubai, married to Salma, who would seem to be a Muslim lady, and his young baby son is called Rahim. So it sounds as if perhaps Sebastian Eubank did discover Islam of his own accord, as Chris Eubank gave him the opportunity to do. And Sinead O'Connor's son, who was 17 and passed away due to suicide, very, very sadly, very tragically, I was reading that she gave him a Hindu funeral. And I can't exactly work out whether the young lad grew up as a Hindu or he became interested in Hinduism later in life. But if you have a Hindu funeral, cremation is part of that process. Now, for the Muslims, cremation is not something that Muslims do, and Islam has an etiquette for burying the body once someone has passed away. But it seems that Sinead O'Connor, although now Muslim, and she's gone from being Catholic to rebelling against the Catholic Church that she famously protested against because of certain crimes that went on, and then finding her own way spiritually and eventually arriving at Islam and becoming Muslim. But she's given her son a Hindu funeral, which obviously must have been what he would have wanted, and she's shown respect for his wishes. And she mentioned that he was always chanting Om Shanti, this Hindu chant, this Hindu mantra that means peace, which, funny enough, Islam comes from the root word for peace as well. So maybe all these religions aren't so different after all, and maybe a good Hindu can be a good Muslim, if by Muslim you mean one who submits to the will of God. And of course, suicide is forbidden in Islam, in every religion, but that doesn't mean that God wouldn't show mercy to someone who felt so wretched, who was so low, who was suffering mental illness. It's up to us. It's our duty to help these people. And Sinead O'Connor is suffered with mental health herself. Very worryingly, after the passing of her son, she tweeted some messages that looked like she might be considering the same outcome for herself, and thankfully she did not. And all we can do is try to help people in this position and never shame anybody and be judgmental. And if there's something I can take from both Sinead O'Connor and Chris Eubank, it's when it comes to religion and faith and spirituality, they have followed the spirit of the law rather than the letter of the law. And I think Chris Eubank is a spiritual man. I know he's seen as a bit of a comedy character, and even I've been known to mock him in the past. But when someone goes through a tragedy like that, and you see them lay their feelings bare in front of the nation.
My son was a warrior in that he was out there to help the poor, the disenfranchised. He was there to help youth.
It's, of course, so sad when a parent has to bury a child. But Chris Eubank was really taking some comfort from the kind, brave and generous life that his son had led. And I hope Sinead O'Connor can do the same. And my heart just goes out to anyone, any parent who's lost a child. And if you're in that position, I hope you can find some kind of strength